For those who do not know, I am a massive Dream Theater fan. My very first album I listened to by them was Scenes from My Memory, and that was my first dive into prog metal music. And it was my first actual experience with a concept album, and I loved all of it. It was cool. I loved the playing, I loved the music, I loved the story. Everything about it was really awesome. So whenever it came out that Dream Theater was coming out with a new album, and it was a concept album, I got flashbacks to Scenes from Memory. So I was really excited when I heard that this album was coming out. So you have 2 hours of music, you have 34 tracks, it's a massive undertaking. You have characters, you have a plot. Basically, the plot of it is that it's like 300 years in the future, and music isn't made by people anymore, it's made by machines. So as you're going through the album, you're picking up the story, you're listening to the different characters and stuff like that. So it's broken up into two CDs. Now, the first CD is the weaker of the two, honestly, because you have a lot of ballads that happen in there, and honestly, they appear too much. Because you also have these tracks that are like little musical interludes, and be, it's made to see that the robots that are on the front cover, the Nomax, it's made to, like they're talking and stuff like that, which honestly, those little tracks don't really lend themselves to the album very much. Now, I'm kind of getting on a tangent about the stuff I don't like, but let's talk about the stuff I do like. A, we get new music. B, James LaBrie is really awesome on this album. Every time he changes from character to character, it's really apparent. He said he did have a lot of fun recording this album, and you can tell, because anytime he has to voice Nefarious, who is the evil emperor, it's super awesome because he takes on this real sinister tone, and it's really awesome. So any of the tracks that pretty much have to do with Lord Nefarious are really awesome from James. And all throughout the album, he shines. He's pretty much the all-star of this album. Now, Mike Mangini, in the past couple albums, his drums have actually sounded like crap, but his snare and his bass drum sound really good on this album. Now, Petrucci, he's been great on all albums. He's great here too. He actually kind of restrains himself because you don't have a lot of crazy solo guitar stuff going on that you normally come to expect from Dream Theater, but you don't really have that a whole lot here. One of the things I didn't really like a whole lot is the fact that John Mayung is buried in the mix again. You can hear him and he's there, but he's not really out in front. He's hidden in the back behind everything, which is a travesty because a band of this caliber, you shouldn't be hiding the bass. He's amazing. And then you come back to the drums. Yes, the snare and bass drum are fixed, but you can't hear the cymbals. It's like there's no mics on them, and you can barely hear them, and they're thin and far away, which I don't understand why it was mixed like that. Because Mike Mangini said he recorded them a lot different than what they were mixed. I'll believe him, but a band that's been around this long and it's that huge should not be having problems like that. It's just mind-boggling. Also, too, the album is too long, in my opinion. The second CD is a little bit shorter, and it has a lot better of the tracks. Raven's Skill is one of the cooler tracks from the album. It's actually one of the better ballad-like songs. Because on the first CD, on the first side, you have a lot of ballads, and they all sound the same. You have a lot of piano going on. Apparently they recorded analog piano for this, which it sounds really cool, but that's kind of all they have going on. It's like, oh yeah, alright, that's a nice little ballad. Oh wait, maybe we get something different. No, another ballad. And it gets really exhausting after a while. I think the main issue with this album is it suffered from having a good producer telling John, hey John, maybe we should, cut a few of these songs out. Overall, it's a very good album, but it's not great. It's not Scenes from a Memory level caliber. It is better than the last two albums. The last two albums has the good stuff on it, but out of these 34 tracks, you do have a 15-track album that would be amazing and spectacular, but it's buried underneath all these useless tracks. Yeah, ballads are cool, but you don't need that many on it. And it also helps too if you actually read the lyrics as you're going along as you're listening to the album, because sometimes it can get a little bit confusing of who's saying what and what's going on. And if you can actually see who's saying what, it gives you a little bit more sense of an idea of what's going on. I really did want to love this album, but after a couple of listens, I don't really find myself wanting to go back and listen to it again. And this surprised me because I love this band. I mean, one of my favorite songs on the album is 3 Days. Of course, it's about Nefarious. I love that track. It's really cool. Overall, like I said, this album it suffers from a lack of production. It suffers from someone saying, "Hey, maybe we don't need all these tracks." Now, if you throw this on it is a rock opera, so if you do it on Broadway, it would probably be really cool because that's the kind of feel that you get from it. But as far as sitting down and listening to it, it's almost exhausting and it's daunting because it's 2 hours of music. What did you think about the album? Did you love it? Did you hate it? As for me, I think it's good. It's better than the last two albums, but it's not like that next step. It's not that scenes from memory type of concept album for me. As for me, I'm out. Peace.